Hey, Frank here, Godzilla Island, with a review of Godzilla Rivals Rodan vs. Ebirah. This is for the Major Squad channel, guys. So, really cool story. We've been digging the Rivals series. This is another one-shot by James Wright with art by Phillip Johnson. Did I get that right? Yep. And it takes place in the year 2030. It follows Dr. Carol Kincaid, who is a non-binary botanist. They go up to a space station called the Parasol, and pretty much when they get there, chaos ensues with Rodan and Ebirah, of course. But some pre-context here. Let's start from the beginning. So here's a quick little look at the art. Here we have this giant space elevator that Carol goes up in with Dr. Hazuki, who has already been working on the space station for a little while. The Parasol space station, as Hazuki explains on the way up, is a space station that's not on Earth. So they're able to do all these experiments that are kind of out of jurisdiction, and they're able to do things that they normally would not be able to do on Earth. When they get there, they're met by the lead scientist of the station, Dr. Og Banaya. Dr. Og, we'll call it Dr. O to make it easy, was Carol's childhood hero. It's what made Carol become a scientist. Carol's a botanist, like I said earlier, so Carol's specialty is in plants. So they get the little tour of the station from Dr. O, and as we see, there's just completely crazy experiments that probably should not be being carried out anywhere, even in space. You see one doctor is getting choked out by a robot, another one, we have doctors with big nets trying to catch a giant gerbil and some sort of centipede monster. I don't know if the centipede's part of the gerbil's tail here. That's difficult to make out with the card swipe there. Then we have this guy is split in half. Looks like he's doing some portals work, and then some telekinetic being in there. Pretty cool. And they finally get to Sector X, which is where the kaiju are stored. And this is why Dr. O has called for Carol to come up here, because Dr. O has a Biollante specimen that is a vine that is not regenerating for some reason. And since Carol specializes in botany, they were hoping that Carol could figure it out, because Carol has had some experience with large, out of the ordinary plants. We also see Rodan and Ebirah are here in containment. Carol's kind of hesitant about the whole situation. She's like, is it really a good idea to be having these kaiju up here? And Dr. O seems a little bit out there, like she's kind of lost it a little. So they're kind of going back and forth about megaflora, which is giant plants. And then Rodan just decides to wake up in its tank, break out, and so does Ebirah somehow. And Dr. O's flipping out. They call for an immediate evacuation of the station, but the two monsters are just causing complete chaos. They're too large for the station to contain, and they end up in the elevator. After fighting it out, they end up into the elevator that's over 400 meters above sea level, plummeting to Earth. And as they're falling, Ebirah cuts Rodan's wings, which Dr. O says if Rodan was ever to lose the ability to fly, that it's just going to go into a complete frenzy. And on top of this, now you have two massive monsters falling to Earth from 400,000 meters in space, and there's nothing to stop it but the Earth. They're saying this is going to be catastrophic. It's basically like if an asteroid were to hit Earth. So at this point, Rodan can't lift Ebirah up, and Rodan can't lift itself up. So Dr. O is like, well, we have one failsafe as the two monsters are fighting out. Rodan's about to use his uranium beam on Ebirah when Dr. O hits the Mothra cocoon protocol, they call it, and Mothra webbing shoots out of these devices here and begins to cocoon the two monsters. And then they're like, well, how are we going to get them out of the shaft? So they bring over this claw, it looks like a waffle maker to me, honestly, but as we see Biollante vines come out, they're supposed to serve as like a claw machine, like in an arcade, but they've gone completely rogue, probably because they're detecting other kaiju instead of just a normal, whatever they usually have these Biollante things pick up. Maybe it's a giant truck, a ship, some sort of equipment, but these are living kaiju that they're dealing with. So Carol, being the botanist specialist, Carol says that they always had a thing with that they talked to plants because they were always kind of an outsider. So Carol dives into the shaft with just a spacesuit on. Dr. Hazuki and I are like, I think Carol's not going to make it. But the vines, for some reason, follow Carol down the shaft, grab the cocoon, and begin lifting it. And it's kind of weird. So you see it grab on, and all these roses just form on the cocoon. Like, they merge together almost, these vines. But they begin lifting it up, but the cocoon cannot contain Rodan's uranium blast. And that fails. But somehow, Carol made it back up the shaft. I guess Carol came back up with the vines. So we still have the problem of the two monsters falling to Earth. And they're like, you know what? We have one ace in the hole left. They call down to Tokyo Bay. And they are about to unleash Mechagodzilla Kiryu. But the thing is, every time he comes out, Godzilla shows up too. So they're like, we only have a limited time to stop these two kaiju falling and causing a catastrophic event like an asteroid hitting Earth, basically. So they unleash Kiryu, shoots up to the sky, and this is about all we get of Godzilla. Pretty dark, ominous shot of Godzilla in the comic. And they begin detecting Godzilla already making its way to Tokyo Bay. And they're like, oh no, we can't have this. They're like, you gotta act quick with Mechagodzilla. So Mechagodzilla gets up there, kind of catches the two, binds him up on his back with the leftover larva webbing from Mothra, and just throws on the thrusters to slow down the impact. Ebirah's down there wrapped up, and Rodan's wrapped up. The two break loose. Ebirah runs for the ocean and just dives in, maybe meeting Godzilla. And Rodan is just like wiped out, pissed that its wings are broken. And everyone goes wild celebrating. And then we kind of get like a post-credit here. It turns out Dr. O also had baby Godzilla in captivity. And she goes, I guess it's your turn next. And we see a green glow in her eyes, and they look reptilian. So I'm kind of wondering if this team here of James Wright and Phillip Johnson are going to come back for another comic. There is a Mechagodzilla Godzilla Rivals coming out. So I'm wondering if it's going to continue off from this issue. Maybe, I don't know if it's the same writers. I really got to look into that. And we're going to see Mechagodzilla, and something's going to be involved with Baby Godzilla. I don't know what the story is on it. One of the covers did have the Kiryu. I mean, this is Heisei Mechagodzilla, so it's not accurate for what was in here, but it works. It's awesome art. I love it. But, yeah, really fun read. I'm really digging these. I'm really glad that IDW has been able to do some inclusion stories here for this round 2. Even the Valentine's Day special comic that they have announced is going to be an LGBTQ couple, it looks like, which is really cool. I really like seeing that representation here. I know sometimes Toho could be a little strict, and they're a little more conservative over there and don't like to see those things sometimes, but I'm really glad that they're coming into the modern day here and allowing these stories to be told and these characters to be seen so that other people could feel part of this. They could see characters in these stories that are like them. That's kind of part of what this story was. Carol was idolized Dr. Oak. She looked like her. So that's what IDW is doing here, I think, and the writers that are doing these stories, which is really great. Even the Mothra versus Titanosaurus comic, they didn't outright say it, but they kind of hinted at the end that the two male scientists at the end were a couple, which was really cool. They played it subtle. I really hope that we do see more of that. We definitely need some more inclusion in our kaiju comics, which is awesome. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought about this, and comment down below, and stick around for more Rivals reviews coming soon. I am catching up on all of them. I'm about to get into round 3 here with Space Godzilla soon, so keep an eye out for that on the channel.